Elena Vasquez looked out the small window of her shuttle as it approached Nexus Prime. The planet was beautiful in a way that took her breath away. Massive crystal towers reached up into the purple sky, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 different suns. Ships from dozens of alien species moved between the towers like schools of metal fish. This was the center of galactic power, the place where 12 ancient alien races made decisions that affected billions of worlds. And Elena was about to become the first human to speak before them as an official ambassador. She touched the datapad in her lap. It contained humanity's formal application to join the Galactic Council. After 50 years of faster-than-light travel, humans had finally built enough colonies and made enough contact with other species to request membership. The application was thick with documents about human achievements, culture, and peaceful intentions. "Ambassador, we will dock in 10 minutes, said Captain Morrison from the pilot seat. He was nervous too, though he tried to hide it. They all knew how important this mission was. Elena nodded and went back to reviewing her notes. She had spent 2 years preparing for this moment, learning about each council species, their customs, their histories, their fears. The Zephyrians were proud warriors who valued strength above all. The crystalline hegemony were cold logicians who made decisions based purely on facts and numbers. The Ethereals claimed to be the oldest species in the galaxy and looked down on younger races. Then there were 9 other species, each with their own personalities and agendas. Getting even half of them to vote for human membership would be a miracle. The shuttle shook slightly as it entered the docking bay. Elena gathered her materials and took a deep breath. She wore her best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with the insignia of Earth's United Nations. Her briefcase contained gifts from humanity, recordings of Earth's greatest music, samples of human art, and scientific data that might interest the Council. The docking bay was enormous. Elena's shuttle looked like a toy next to some of the alien ships parked nearby. A Zephyrian battlecruiser sat in one corner, its black hull covered with weapon ports. Near it was a crystalline transport, all straight lines and glowing panels. Everything was clean and organized in a way that made Elena feel very small and very human. 2 aliens waited for her at the bottom of the shuttle ramp. One was tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. The other looked like it was made of living metal, constantly shifting and reflecting the light around it. "Ambassador Vasquez," said the tall one in perfect English. "I am Diplomat Kresh of the Administrative Council. This is Mediator 7749 of the Crystalline Hegemony. We will escort you to your quarters." Elena smiled and extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Diplomat Kresh looked at it for a moment before carefully taking it. His skin was cold and felt like leather. Mediator 7749 simply observed with what might have been curiosity. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The walls were made of some kind of smart material that changed color and pattern as they passed. Other aliens moved through the halls, some floating, some walking on legs, some moving in ways Elena couldn't understand. Most ignored her, but a few stopped to stare at the human. "Your species is quite young," said Mediator 7749 as they walked. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Only 50 of your years in space. Most council species had established galactic empires before your planet. Developed complex life. We're eager to learn," Elena replied carefully. "Humanity has always been curious about what lies beyond our world." "Curiosity can be dangerous," said Diplomat Kresh. "The galaxy is not always kind to curious species." Elena's quarters were simple, but comfortable. A bed that adjusted to her human body shape, a desk with a communication terminal, and a window that looked out over the Crystal City. She had 3 days before her presentation to the full council. Over the next 2 days, Elena met with individual council members and their representatives. Some meetings went well. The Aquatic Collective seemed interested in human ocean research. The Fungal Network appreciated human agricultural techniques, but others were clearly hostile. Her meeting with Subcommander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire was particularly difficult. He was a large alien with red skin and 4 arms, each ending in clawed hands. He wore military decorations that marked him as a veteran of many wars. "Humans," he said, his voice like grinding stone. "We have watched your species for 50 years. You fight constantly, war after war on your homeworld, violence everywhere you go. You are not ready for galactic civilization. Humanity has moved beyond our violent past, Elena said calmly. We've had peace on Earth for 30 years. Our colonies work together in harmony. 30 years is nothing, Sub-Commander Veltar replied. My species has maintained peace for 3,000 years. Yours is still young and savage. The meeting with the ethereal representative was even worse. The ethereal looked like a tall human made of starlight, beautiful and terrible at the same time. It spoke directly into Elena's mind rather than using words. The thoughts it shared were cold and dismissive. Humans were barely above animals in its opinion. They had contributed nothing to galactic knowledge and never would. They were too emotional, too unpredictable, too primitive to join the council. Elena left that meeting feeling shaken but not defeated. She had expected resistance. The key was to show the council that humanity had something valuable to offer. The third day, Elena was escorted to the council chambers. The room was even more impressive than she had imagined. 12 massive seats arranged in a circle, each one designed for a different alien body type. The walls showed images of space, stars, nebulae, and distant galaxies. The ceiling was transparent, showing the alien sky above. Elena stood in the center of the circle, feeling very small. Around her sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy, the Zephyrian Archon with his scarred face and military decorations, the Prime Ethereal glowing like a small star, the crystalline Overmind that looked like a living computer made of gems. 9 other aliens, each representing billions of their people. Ambassador Elena Vasquez of the species known as Humans, announced Diplomat Kresh. You have requested to address the Galactic Council regarding your species' application for membership. Elena activated her presentation device. Holographic images filled the air above her head. Pictures of Earth, blue oceans, green forests, cities full of humans living and working together. Then images from human colonies, showing peaceful settlements on different worlds. Honored council members, Elena began, I come before you not as a representative of a perfect species, but as someone who believes that diversity makes us all stronger. Humanity is young, yes. We have made mistakes, yes. But we have also shown that we can learn, grow, and change. She showed them human music, starting with classical pieces from Earth and moving to new compositions created by humans living among the stars. She played recordings of human poetry translated into several galactic languages. She displayed human scientific discoveries, particularly in the fields of medicine and environmental restoration. We don't ask to join the council because we think we deserve it, Elena continued. We ask because we believe we can contribute something valuable to galactic civilization. Our youth gives us a different perspective on old problems. Our history of overcoming conflict has taught us the value of peace. For the first time since arriving, Elena felt hopeful. Some of the council members were listening carefully. The aquatic collective representative was nodding. Even the crystalline Overmind seemed to be processing her words with interest. Then Archon Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire stood up. The massive alien looked down at Elena with cold eyes. The council will deliberate, he said. You will have our answer tomorrow. Elena bowed respectfully and was escorted from the chamber. As she walked back to her quarters, she allowed herself to feel cautiously optimistic. She had done everything she could. Now it was up to the council to decide humanity's future among the stars. Elena woke early on the day of the council's decision. She had barely slept, her mind running through every possible outcome. Through her window, she could see the 3 suns of Nexus Prime rising over the Crystal City. It was going to be a beautiful day. She dressed carefully in her formal diplomatic uniform and made sure her communication device was working properly. Whatever happened today, Earth needed to know about it immediately. Diplomat Kresh arrived at her quarters exactly on time. The council is ready to deliver their decision, Ambassador, he said. His gray face showed no emotion. They walked through the same corridors as before, but today they felt different. Other aliens in the halls stopped to watch Elena pass. Word had spread that the council was making a historic decision about the youngest spacefaring species. The council chambers looked the same as before, but the atmosphere was tense. All 12 council members were present, sitting in their massive chairs arranged in a circle. Elena took her place in the center, trying to stay calm. Archon Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire stood first. His forearms were crossed and his scarred face was stern. "The Galactic Council has reviewed the application of the human species for membership," he announced in his grinding voice. Elena held her breath. "By a vote of 9-3, Archon Veltar continued, the Council rejects this application." Elena felt her heart sink, but she kept her face neutral. She had prepared for this possibility. "May I ask the Council's reasons for this decision?" she said politely. The Prime Ethereal rose from its seat, light flowing around its star-like form. When it spoke, its voice echoed directly in Elena's mind. "Your species is too dangerous. In 50 years of space travel, you have already fought 3 wars with other human colonies. You carry violence with you wherever you go." The crystalline Overmind added its mechanical voice. "Our calculations show a 73.6% probability that human membership in the Council would lead to galactic conflict within 100 years. This is unacceptable." Other Council members voiced their agreement. The fungal network worried about human expansion. The gas giant collective feared human unpredictability. One by one, they listed humanity's flaws and failings. Elena listened to it all, then spoke carefully. "Honored Council members, I understand your concerns, but I ask you to consider that every species has gone through growing phases. Surely there is room in the galaxy for young species to learn and improve." "Some species," said Archon Veltar, "never learn. They remain violent and dangerous until they destroy themselves or are destroyed by others." "The Council has made another decision," announced the Prime Ethereal. "Humanity is hereby designated a species of concern. Your people will be restricted to your current star systems. No further expansion will be permitted." Elena felt shock wash over her. This was worse than simple rejection. They were putting humanity in a cage. "Honorable Council members, this is not justice. My people have done nothing to deserve such treatment." "Your people's nature is enough," replied Archon Veltar. "We cannot allow a violent species to spread unchecked through the galaxy." Elena activated her communication device, preparing to send word to Earth about this catastrophic decision. But before she could speak, guards moved to block the exits. Large aliens in armor surrounded her position in the center of the chamber. "There is one more matter," Archon Veltar said, his voice taking on a dangerous tone. "The Council must send a clear message about humanity's place in the galaxy, about what happens to species that think they can demand membership before they are ready." Elena looked around the chamber. None of the other Council members were objecting. Even those who had seemed sympathetic before were silent. "In the ancient days of the Galactic Council," Archon Veltar continued, "we dealt with dangerous species through the rite of cleansing fire. It has not been used for over 1,000 years, but the law still exists." Fear began to grow in Elena's chest. "What are you talking about?" Instead of answering, Archon Veltar gestured to the guards. They grabbed Elena's arms and dragged her to a raised platform in the center of the chamber. The platform was made of black stone and covered with symbols she couldn't read. "No," Elena said, struggling against the guards. "This is murder. I'm a diplomatic representative. There are laws protecting ambassadors." "Human laws," said the Prime Ethereal coldly, "which have no power here." The guards forced Elena onto the platform and bound her hands behind her back. From somewhere in the floor, a metal brazier rose up, already glowing with intense heat. The air around it shimmered like water. "Please," Elena said, looking at each Council member in turn. "You don't have to do this. We can work together. Humanity can change." "Your species has had 50 years to prove that," replied Archon Veltar. "You have failed. Now you will serve as an example to any other young species that might have similar ideas about joining civilized society." Elena managed to activate her communication device one last time. The signal would reach Earth, though it might take days to get through the galactic communication networks. "Earth Command, this is Ambassador Elena Vasquez," she said quickly as the guards moved closer. "The Council has rejected our membership application. They have designated humanity a species of concern and restricted us to our current systems, but that's not the worst part. The guards were trying to take her communication device away, but Elena held onto it desperately. "They're going to execute me," she continued, her voice shaking but determined. "They call it the rite of cleansing fire. They want to send a message about humanity's place in the galaxy. They think this will make us afraid, make us submit to their will." One of the guards finally ripped the device from her hands, but not before Elena got out her final words. "Tell them they're wrong about us. Tell them we are not what they hoped we were, and tell them to prepare." The communication cut off. Archon Veltar nodded to the guards. They activated the brazier and flames leaped up around Elena. She tried not to scream, tried to maintain her dignity, even in her final moments, but the pain was beyond anything she had ever experienced. The council members watched without emotion as Elena Vasquez, the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council, burned alive in the center of their chamber. Some looked bored, as if this was just another piece of routine business. Others seemed satisfied that they had sent their message clearly. The Prime Ethereals spoke into the silence after Elena's screams had ended. "Let it be recorded that the human species has been judged and found wanting. Their ambassador has paid the price for their presumption. This is the fate of all species that refuse to know their place." "Agreed," said Archon Veltar. "Send word to all member species and client races. Humanity is to be quarantined to their current systems. Any ship that attempts to leave human space without council permission will be destroyed. Any species that trades with humanity will face economic sanctions." The crystalline overmind processed this information and transmitted it to the galactic communication networks. Within hours, every civilized world in the galaxy would know what had happened to the human ambassador and what it meant for humanity's future. "This session is closed," announced Archon Veltar. "The council has spoken." The 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy filed out of their chamber, leaving behind only the smoldering remains on the Blackstone platform. They believed they had solved the problem of humanity. They thought they had put the young species in its place and prevented future challenges to galactic order. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In the depths of space, Elena's final message was racing toward Earth at the speed of light, carrying news that would change everything. The Council had wanted to send a message about humanity's place in the galaxy. Humanity was about to send one back. Elena's message reached Earth 3 days after her death. The signal came through the deep space communication array at Luna Station, where technicians were monitoring for any word from the diplomatic mission to Nexus Prime. Communications Officer Sarah Chen was on duty when the transmission arrived. She had been Elena's friend at the Diplomatic Academy, and she was hoping for good news about humanity's application to join the Galactic Council. Instead, she heard Elena's terrified voice describing her own execution. Sarah played the message 3 times before she was sure she had heard it correctly. Then she sent it directly to Earth Command, to the President, and to every major government on Earth and the colonies. Within 6 hours, every human in known space had heard Elena's final words. The reaction was not what the Galactic Council expected. President Martinez called an emergency session of the Earth Assembly. Representatives from every human colony attended, by hologram. The chamber was silent as they listened to Elena's message for the 4th time that day. "They burned her alive," said Colonel Hayes from the Mars colony, his voice tight with anger. "They murdered a diplomatic representative." "It's worse than that," replied Dr. Sarah Chen, who had been promoted to head of the new Crisis Response Committee. "They've declared us a species of concern. We're trapped in our own systems like animals in a cage." President Martinez stood slowly. She was a small woman, but her voice carried the weight of authority when she spoke. "The Council has made their position clear. They see us as nothing more than dangerous children who need to be controlled or eliminated." "What do we do?" asked Governor Park from the Alpha Centauri colony. For a long moment, President Martinez was quiet. Then she looked around the chamber at the representatives of humanity's scattered worlds. "We stop pretending to be what they want us to be," she said finally. "Elena died trying to convince them we were peaceful and civilized. They killed her anyway. So we show them what humans are really capable of when we stop holding back." The next day, something strange happened. All human communication with alien species stopped. Not just government communications, but everything. Human traders who had been working with alien merchants suddenly canceled their contracts and headed home. Human scientists who had been exchanging research with alien colleagues went silent. Human tourists visiting alien worlds packed up and left without explanation. Within a week, it was as if humanity had vanished from galactic affairs entirely. At first, the Galactic Council was pleased. Archon Veltar announced to his military commanders that the humans had learned their lesson and retreated to sulk in their home systems. The Prime Ethereal predicted that within a galactic standard year, humanity would send new ambassadors begging for mercy and asking to be allowed back into galactic society. But as weeks turned into months, disturbing reports began to reach the Council. A crystalline hegemony trade ship passing near human space detected massive energy signatures coming from the Sol system. When they investigated, they found asteroid mining operations on a scale they had never seen before. Entire asteroid belts were being systematically stripped of raw materials. A Zephyrian patrol near the edge of human territory reported strange construction in the outer planets of human systems. Massive structures were being built, but their purpose was unclear because of sophisticated jamming fields that blocked detailed scans. Most worrying were reports from independent traders and mercenaries who were brave enough to venture close to human space. They spoke of industrial activity beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Ship construction yards that stretched across entire moons. Factories that worked around the clock, producing unknown materials. Energy outputs that suggested humanity was building something enormous. What are they doing in there? Asked Sub-Commander Veltar during a council intelligence briefing. Unknown, replied Analyst Crix of the Crystalline Hegemony. Our long-range scans are being blocked by jamming technology we don't recognize. But the energy signatures suggest massive military construction. How massive? Asked the Prime Ethereal. Based on power consumption analysis, Crix continued, they appear to be building more ships in 6 months than most species build in 50 years. This information troubled some council members, but Archon Veltar dismissed their concerns. Let them build ships, he said. They are still trapped in their home systems. If they try to leave, we will destroy them. But Dr. Sarah Chen and her team were working on more than just ships. In a hidden facility beneath the surface of Luna, humanity's best scientists were solving problems that had puzzled them for decades. How long until the new drive system is ready? Sarah asked Dr. Reeves, the project's chief engineer. 2 months for the first prototype, he replied. 6 months for full production. But are you sure about this, Sarah? Once we use this technology, there's no going back to peaceful relations with the Council. Sarah looked at the holographic display showing Elena's final message. Her friend's terrified face stared back at her. They made that choice for us when they burned Elena alive, she said. Now we make sure they understand the consequences. The new technology was based on principles that human scientists had discovered by studying the wreckage of alien ships that had crashed on human worlds over the years. But instead of copying alien technology, they had improved it. Human creativity and desperation had produced innovations that the galaxy had never seen, faster-than-light drives that could move ships at impossible speeds, weapons that could manipulate matter at the quantum level, armor that could adapt to any attack in real time. Most importantly, artificial intelligence systems that could coordinate thousands of ships with perfect precision. President Martinez visited the Luna facility to see the progress for herself. She stood in the main laboratory, surrounded by technology that would have seemed like magic just 1 year before. How many ships will we have when the fleet is ready? She asked. The first wave will consist of 5,000 vessels, replied Admiral Torres, Elena's brother, and the new head of human military forces. Everything from massive dreadnoughts to single-pilot fighters, all of them equipped with technology the Council has never seen. And the crews? Every ship will be crewed by volunteers, people who watched Elena's message and decided they wanted to make sure nothing like that ever happens again. President Martinez nodded. Around the galaxy, other species were going about their normal business, unaware that humanity was preparing something unprecedented. The Council continued to debate minor trade disputes and territorial claims, confident that they had solved the human problem. They had no idea that in hidden shipyards throughout human space, the largest military fleet in galactic history was taking shape. The silence from human space continued. No trade, no communication, no diplomacy. It was as if humanity had simply disappeared from galactic civilization. Then, exactly 1 year after Elena's death, a single message was broadcast. On all galactic frequencies, it was transmitted simultaneously from every human world, using communication technology that bypassed all known jamming systems. The message was simple and direct, spoken in the calm voice of President Martinez. The United Human Republic extends its condolences to the families of Galactic Council members. We regret to inform you that your deaths will be swift and merciful, which is more consideration than you showed Ambassador Elena Vasquez. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally, or we will demonstrate what humans are truly capable of when we stop pretending to be civilized. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. On Nexus Prime, Archon Veltar laughed when he heard the message. Surrender to them? They are trapped in their home systems with primitive technology? This is obviously a desperate bluff. The Prime Ethereal was less certain. The transmission technology they used is unknown to us. Perhaps we should investigate their capabilities more carefully. But it was too late for investigation. At the edge of Nexus Prime's solar system, space began to ripple and bend. Something enormous was coming out of faster-than-light travel. Something that was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The space around Nexus Prime exploded into light as the human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Ships materialized out of nowhere, appearing in perfect formation as if they had practiced this maneuver 1,000 times. On the bridge of the flagship Prometheus, Admiral Marcus Torres watched the tactical display update with enemy positions. His sister Elena's picture sat on his command console, a reminder of why they were here. "Fleet status report," he ordered. "All ships have arrived safely, Admiral," replied his tactical officer. 5,000 vessels in perfect formation. No casualties from the jump. Enemy response? The Zephyrian home fleet is moving to intercept. Approximately 200 ships led by Archon Veltar's personal command vessel. Admiral Torres smiled coldly. Only 200 ships? They really don't understand what they're facing, do they? The Zephyrian fleet had been the terror of the galaxy for centuries. Their black warships were fast, heavily armed, and crewed by warriors who lived for battle. Archon Veltar himself commanded from the bridge of his flagship, a massive dreadnought called Blazing Honor. "Human vessels," came Veltar's voice over the communication channel. "You are in violation of galactic law. Retreat to your home systems immediately or face destruction." Admiral Torres opened a communication channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships," you heard the Archon. "He's giving us one last chance to run away and hide." He paused, looking at Elena's picture. "What do you think we should do?" The response came from 5,000 ships at once, 5,000 human voices speaking, in perfect unison. "Make them pay." "Attack Formation Omega," Admiral Torres ordered. "Show them what humans do to murderers." The human fleet moved with impossible precision. Ships that had seemed scattered suddenly rearranged themselves into complex attack patterns. Small fighters wove between larger vessels like dancers, while massive dreadnoughts took positions that would give them perfect firing angles. Archon Veltar watched the human formation with growing unease. His sensors were showing energy readings. That made no sense. The human ships were generating power levels that should have been impossible for vessels of their size. "All ships, attack Formation 7, he commanded. "Standard tactics. These primitives may have numbers, but we have experience." The Zephyrian fleet charged forward in their traditional wedge formation, a tactic that had broken enemy lines for thousands of years. Their weapons powered up, ready to teach the humans a lesson about galactic warfare. They never got the chance to fire. The human ships opened up with weapons that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics. Beams of energy that moved faster than light struck the Zephyrian vessels before their shields could even activate. Where the beams touched, matter simply ceased to exist, leaving perfectly smooth holes in the enemy hulls. "Impossible," Veltar breathed as he watched 3 of his cruisers disappear in seconds. "No weapon can penetrate our shields that quickly." But the human weapons weren't penetrating the shields. They were ignoring them entirely, striking at the quantum level where normal defenses had no meaning. The Blazing Honor shook as a human beam weapon carved through its armor like it was made of paper. Veltar's bridge crew scrambled to understand what was happening, but their instruments couldn't even detect the human weapons until after they had been hit. "Return fire," Veltar ordered. "All weapons, maximum power." The surviving Zephyrian ships unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and fusion torpedoes filled space with deadly energy. It was a display of firepower that could have destroyed entire planets. The human ships moved through it like it wasn't even there. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow, adapting to each attack. Plasma bolts that should have melted through armor instead scattered harmlessly off surfaces that had changed composition in the split second before impact. Particle beams bent around human ships as if space itself was protecting them. "Their hulls are made of programmable matter," reported Veltar's science officer, his voice filled with disbelief. "The ships are rebuilding themselves in real time, adapting to our weapons as we fire them." Within minutes, the Zephyrian home fleet was gone. 200 ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, destroyed by human weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. Only Veltar's flagship remained, its engines dead and its weapons offline. Admiral Torres opened a communication channel to the crippled vessel. "Archon Veltar, this is Admiral Marcus Torres of the Human Republic Navy. My sister was Elena Vasquez, the ambassador you murdered. I want you to watch what happens next." The human fleet turned toward Nexus Prime itself. The planet was protected by orbital defense platforms that had been built over thousands of years. Each platform was a fortress in space, armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets and defended by shields that had never been breached. There were 50 platforms arranged in perfect formation around the planet. They represented the combined defensive technology of 12 galactic species and had protected the Council world since the galaxy's ancient wars. The human ships approached them slowly, almost casually. On each platform, alien defenders prepared for the battle of their lives. They had heard what happened to the Zephyrian fleet, but they were confident their superior defensive positions would make the difference. The first platform opened fire when the humans came within range. Its massive plasma cannons could have destroyed an asteroid with a single shot. The beams struck the lead human vessel squarely in the center. The ship absorbed the energy and fired it back, amplified 100-fold. The platform exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the planet's surface. "Impossible," whispered the Prime Ethereal from the Council chambers. That platform had shields rated to withstand a supernova. The humans didn't stop to admire their work. They moved from platform to platform with mechanical precision, taking them apart piece by piece. Not destroying them quickly, but dismantling them systematically, as if they were studying each one before deciding how to kill it. Some platforms tried to retreat. Others attempted to coordinate their fire. A few even tried to surrender. It didn't matter. In 30 minutes, all 50 orbital defense platforms were gone, reduced to glowing debris that orbited the planet like a new ring system. But the humans weren't done. Smaller ships detached from the main fleet and descended toward Nexus Prime's surface. They moved through the planet's atmosphere without any concern for the ground-based defenses that tried to stop them. Surface-to-space cannons fired everything they had at the descending human ships. Anti-aircraft systems filled the sky with explosive rounds. Energy shields designed to protect entire cities were activated at maximum power. The human ships landed anyway. They touched down in the crystal city around the Council chambers, their hulls glowing from atmospheric entry but otherwise undamaged. Ramps lowered, and human soldiers in advanced armor stepped onto alien soil. The armor they wore looked like liquid metal that moved and flowed around their bodies. It seemed to anticipate attacks, shifting and hardening a split second before. Enemy weapons struck. The soldiers carried weapons that hummed with contained energy, devices that could apparently disintegrate matter with surgical precision. Local security forces tried to stop them. Zephyrian warriors charged with their traditional weapons. Crystalline hegemony robots attacked with mathematical precision. Gas giant collective defenders used their advanced technology to create energy barriers. The humans walked through all of it without slowing down. Their armor adapted to every attack. Energy weapons were absorbed and redirected. Physical projectiles bounced off surfaces that became diamond hard at the moment of impact. Chemical weapons were neutralized by filters that seemed to understand alien biology better than the aliens themselves. The human soldiers moved through the crystal city like they owned it, heading straight for the council chambers where Elena had died. Behind them, their ships settled into defensive positions, their weapons tracking any alien that looked threatening. In the council chambers, the 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy huddled together like frightened children. Through the transparent ceiling, they could see human ships hovering overhead, blocking out the 3 suns of Nexus Prime. "How is this possible?" asked the representative of the fungal network, its voice shaking with fear. "1 year ago, they were primitives begging for membership. Now they have technology that makes our best weapons look like toys." The crystalline overmind processed data frantically, trying to understand what it was seeing. "Their advancement rate is impossible. No species can develop technology this quickly. Unless," said the Prime Ethereal slowly, "they were already more advanced than they appeared. Unless they were hiding their true capabilities all along." Archon Veltar's voice came through the communication system from his crippled ship. "You fools," he said bitterly. "Don't you understand? They weren't trying to impress us with their technology before. They were trying to impress us with their restraint." The meaning of his words sank in just as the doors to the council chambers opened. Human soldiers entered the room where Elena had burned, their weapons ready but not yet raised. Behind them walked Admiral Torres and Dr. Sarah Chen, Elena's friends, who had spent the last year planning this moment. Honorable council members, Admiral Torres walked to the exact spot where Elena had burned. The black stone platform was still there, stained with the ashes of his sister. He knelt down and touched the stone with his gloved hand, then stood slowly and faced the 12 council members. "My sister came here believing in peace," he said quietly. "She thought that intelligent beings could work together despite their differences. She believed that understanding was possible between species." He looked up at Archon Veltar's empty seat. "You taught us otherwise." Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward carrying a data tablet. "We've spent the last year learning about the Galactic Council, not just your current policies, but your history. What we found was interesting." She activated a holographic display that filled the air above the chamber. Images appeared showing dozens of different alien species. Some familiar, many completely unknown. "The Kalari Confederation," Sarah said, pointing to one image. "Destroyed by Council forces 800 years ago for refusing to accept limits on their expansion. The Nexus Builders, eliminated 6 centuries ago because their technology was advancing too quickly. The Harmony Collective, wiped out 400 years ago for trying to create a democratic alternative to Council rule." More images appeared, each showing a different species that no longer existed. 37 civilizations completely destroyed by the Galactic Council over the past millennium, Sarah continued. Not because they were violent or dangerous, but because they represented challenges to Council authority. You've been the galaxy's dictators for 1,000 years, and you've eliminated anyone who might threaten your power. The Prime Ethereal rose from its seat, light flickering around its form. "Those species were dangerous to galactic stability. The Council maintained peace by removing threats before they could grow." "Peace built on graves," Admiral Torres replied. "Elena's grave. The graves of billions of beings whose only crime was wanting freedom." He gestured to his soldiers, who moved to positions around the chamber. The council members shifted nervously, but none tried to flee. They knew there was nowhere to run. "But we're not here for revenge," Admiral Torres continued, surprising everyone in the room. "If we wanted you dead, you would be dead already. We're here to offer you the same choice you should have offered Elena." Dr. Sarah Chen activated another holographic display, this one showing a star map of the galaxy. Dozens of systems were highlighted in blue, scattered across known space. "Over the past year, while we were building our fleet, we were also making contact with other species," Sarah explained. "Species that the Council had suppressed or ignored, younger races that were never allowed to advance, client species that were tired of serving their masters." The map updated, showing communication lines between the highlighted systems. "The Free Species Alliance," Admiral Torres announced. "A coalition of worlds dedicated to the principles Elena died defending: self-determination, scientific advancement, the right to reach for the stars without asking permission from anyone." Archon Veltar's voice crackled through the communication system from his damaged ship. "You think you can replace the Council? The galaxy needs order. Without central authority, there will be chaos and war." There's already chaos and war, Dr. Sarah Chen replied. You've just been controlling who gets to participate. The Zephyrian Empire has been fighting border conflicts for decades. The crystalline hegemony has been enslaving artificial intelligences. The gas giant collective has been strip mining systems without regard for native life. She turned to face each council member in turn. You've maintained your version of peace by suppressing anyone who might offer alternatives. But that era is ending. Admiral Torres walked closer to the council seats. Here's what's going to happen. The Free Species Alliance is now offering membership to any species that wants it. Not client status, not tributary relationships, full membership with equal voting rights. The holographic display updated again, showing more and more systems lighting up across the galaxy. Even as they watched, new signals were appearing as species formally joined the Alliance. Impossible, breathed the crystalline overmind. Our client species would never rebel. They depend on us for protection and technology. They depended on you because you made sure they had no other choice, Sarah replied. But we're offering them something you never did. Genuine partnership. Our technology shared freely, our markets open to all members, our protection extended to anyone who wants it. More lights appeared on the galactic map. The aquatic collective's client worlds were declaring independence. The ethereal empire's tributary systems were joining the alliance. Even some of the Zephyrian border territories were switching sides. Admiral Torres opened a communication channel that reached across the galaxy. This is Admiral Marcus Torres of the Free Species Alliance, broadcasting to all worlds. The age of council rule is over. Any species, any world, any colony that wants freedom from the old system is welcome to join us. We offer partnership, not domination. Progress, not stagnation. Hope, not fear. The response was immediate. Communication signals flooded in from across the galaxy as worlds that had been suppressed for centuries suddenly saw an alternative to council rule. The galactic map lit up like a festival display as system after system joined the alliance. The council members watched their empire crumble in real time. The fungal network's trade routes were being cut off as their partners joined the alliance. The gas giant collective's mining operations were being shut down by rebellious workers. The crystalline hegemony's automated systems were being hacked and reprogrammed by newly freed artificial intelligences. You have a choice, Admiral Torres said to the 12 council members. You can try to maintain your dying empire through increasingly desperate measures. You can fight a war you cannot win against species that have tasted freedom. Or you can apply for membership in the Alliance. Membership. The Prime Ethereal's voice was filled with disbelief. You would accept us after everything that has happened. As equals, Dr. Sarah Chen emphasized, subject to the same laws and limitations as everyone else. No special privileges, no superior status, just the chance to be part of something better than what you built. For long moments, the chamber was silent except for the continuing stream of communication signals as more worlds joined the alliance. The council members looked at each other, these beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia, now facing the collapse of everything they had built. The representative of the aquatic collective spoke first. My species has grown tired of the constant politics and power games. We would like to formally request information about Alliance membership requirements. The fungal network representative agreed. Our people have always believed in cooperation and growth. Perhaps it is time to try a new form of cooperation. One by one, 10 of the 12 council members expressed interest in joining the Alliance. Only Archon Veltar and the Prime Ethereal remained defiant. I will never serve under human authority, Veltar declared from his crippled ship. The Zephyrian Empire chooses exile rather than surrender. And you're free to make that choice, Admiral Torres replied. We're not your new rulers, Veltar. That's the whole point. Anyone who wants to leave can leave. Anyone who wants to stay alone can stay alone. We're not building an empire. We're building a community. The Prime Ethereal flickered with angry light. This is madness. Young species cannot govern themselves. They need guidance from their elders. Elena was 28 years old when you killed her, Dr. Sarah Chen said quietly. But she had more wisdom about cooperation and understanding than this council has shown in 1,000 years. Age doesn't automatically bring wisdom, and power doesn't automatically bring the right to rule others. 6 months later, Admiral Torres stood in the main hall of Elena Vasquez Memorial Station, a massive diplomatic complex built in Earth orbit. Representatives from over 300 species moved through the halls, working together on problems that affected the entire galaxy. The station was built around a central chamber where Alliance members met to vote on policies and settle disputes. But unlike the old council chambers, this room had no elevated seats or positions of special honor. Every species, from the ancient ethereals to newly contacted civilizations, had equal representation. Dr. Sarah Chen, now serving as the Alliance's first Secretary General, approached the memorial wall where Elena's name was inscribed, along with the names of all the other beings who had died fighting for freedom over the centuries. "The dedication ceremony is ready to begin," she told Admiral Torres. He nodded and activated the station's communication system. "Citizens of the Free Species Alliance, we gather today to remember Ambassador Elena Vasquez and all those who gave their lives for the dream of a free galaxy." Elena's final message played throughout the station. "They are not what we hoped. Prepare." When it ended, Admiral Torres stepped forward. "We prepared, we learned, and we remembered." Elena died believing that intelligent beings could choose to be better than their worst impulses. Today, 300 species are proving her right. He looked out at the assembled representatives. Former enemies working together, young species, learning from older ones, ancient civilizations, sharing their knowledge freely.